You know, I've been at Golf Magazine for almost 20 years, and in that span I can count on one hand the number of times I've seen a truly significant contribution to the knowledge of golf instruction. But one of those contributions is the subject of our next private lessons. It's from Jim McClean, and it's called The X Factor.
I've been asked about the X Factor for years. In fact, we've done 3 cover pieces in Golf Magazine about the X Factor. So what is the X? The X Factor is the difference between your shoulder turn and your hip turn in the backswing. And in our research on the PGA Tour, we found that the longest hitters get a greater percentage of their total turn from their upper body. So let's go to the range now and see how this applies to your game. When we talk about the X Factor, I really need to discuss 2 additional turning points with you, besides the shoulders and the hips. And those would be from the ground up, the knees first. How much the knees turn in the backswing has a tremendous bearing on how much the hips turn in the backswing as well. So in order for us to restrict the lower body so that we can create a bigger gap or bigger differential in the backswing, I need to get the feet down on the ground the correct way. And by the way, as we talk about the feet, these are connection to the earth, the 2 pivot points in the golf swing. The head is not a pivot point in the golf swing, which I'll talk about later on. When you place your feet on the ground, turn that left toe out and make sure that your left foot is outside your left shoulder. This is really going to restrict how much that left knee can travel in the backswing. Also, the right leg or the right post is tremendously important in restricting the lower body. If you allow that right knee to straighten up, you will again tend to over-rotate your hips in the backswing. So try to keep some flex in the right knee as you load weight in your backswing. Now when we restrict it's going to allow our hips to turn less, and they will turn about 45 to 60 degrees in the backswing. You won't be able to turn them more than that, and that's good. That will allow you to have a bigger gap between your shoulder and hip turn, which is what we're trying to do. Now in order for our shoulders to really make a complete wind-up, we must allow the head, which is the 4th point or 4th turn to look at in the golf swing, to rotate and move a little bit to the right in the backswing. As Harvey Penick said in his great book, The Little Red Book, show me somebody that doesn't move their head and I'll show you somebody that can't play golf. That's pretty important. The head is going to move. It's going to rotate to the right or move to the right or do a little bit of both. And your head will probably move 1 inch to 2, 3, 4 inches to the right in a good golf swing. So if your head is allowed to rotate and move a little bit to the right, you'll be able to increase your shoulder turn. Now the differential between the shoulder turn and the hip turn is what we call the X Factor. And that's what we're trying to increase in your golf swing. So again, feet on the ground correctly, brace the lower body, be careful that you don't allow that left heel to get up quick or the left knee to travel too far across the center line of your body. We slow this down, brace the lower body here, the right leg, and you will have a much bigger gap in your swing. Good little drill or idea is to think of the button on your shirt traveling level and over to the right in your backswing, and to think of your upper body and your lower body as 2 separate halves. Coil the upper body over a braced lower body, and that will look something like this when you wind up. And then I'll go ahead and hit one. When we come back from the break, we'll check how these principles apply to the 4 different player types.
There's only one golf magazine out there. Only one golf magazine understands that golfers need different kinds of instruction. Only one golf magazine gives you private lessons. personalized instruction for different levels of skill. Only one golf magazine features the golf course. 18 fast-paced articles on 18 different subjects. Only one golf magazine has playing editors with the power of Greg and the charisma of Arnie. And there's only one golf magazine with a monthly article by a guy named Jack. Of course, there are other magazines about golf out there, but there's only one golf magazine. Pick up a copy.
Hello, I'm Peter Kessler. Scott Hoke knows better than most the unique agony and joyful ecstasy that golf at the highest levels can offer. Jane Geddes has 11 LPGA wins since 1986 and is one of the tour's premier ball strikers. Meet Scott Hoke and Jane Geddes on the next Golf Talk Live.
Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, only on the Golf Channel. Who's watching?
And you will know I am the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon you.
Everybody's watching the Golf Channel.
By far, the number one thing that I see go wrong in the high handicap category is poor footwork in the golf swing. Now, this poor footwork is marked by certain characteristics. First of all, I see the left heel get off the ground very quickly. The left knee kind of pops out toward the ball and back. The right leg will straighten up, and the person will either reverse pivot, which means his weight will stay on his left leg, or the high handicapper may be thinking of his head as the pivot point of his golf swing. So he's trying not to move his head, yet he's trying to make a weight shift. And when that happens, you see this characteristic. The right hip kind of pops out to the right, and you have a lower body sway. The weight actually goes to the outside of the right foot, and the upper body kind of hangs over the golf ball. And it's amazing how often we see that at our schools at Doral. So the mistake then looks like this. Quick off here, the right leg straightens up, and we have this sort of action in the backswing. And you're way out of position to hit the golf ball. So remember this, good footwork is important in every sport, and it's critical to golf. The weight wants to come off the inside of the left foot and go into a brace or a right leg right here, so we're not allowing this to straighten up. Feel that you brace up, focus on your footwork, keep your heels low to the ground on the backswing, and you'll be doing so much better you won't believe it. Now that's the type of footwork that I'd like to see you employ. Now we're going to move to the power hitter category. And here we have an entirely different set of circumstances. The power hitter tends to get too much rotation with the upper body. He tends to have a lot of width and over-rotate, make a gigantic swing, and of course when you hit the ball good, it goes a mile. But I'd like you to get efficient and powerful wind-up from the upper body that will allow you to also hit the ball straight, and you really won't lose any distance at all. Now, that means on your backswing to feel like you contain your upper body a little bit more, so that when you wind up, the shoulders are only rotating about 90 degrees, and that would look like this. You'd rotate more to here. The power hitter tends to over-rotate, get way off the ball, which creates a lot of width to the swing and a lot of power, but it's tough to get back to hit the center of the club each time and to keep the ball in play. So some of the practice drills you might want to do is to put a club near your shoulders or against your shoulders and practice turning back to about a 90-degree position. Then take the club in your hands and just hold it in that position. It'll probably feel like about a three-quarter swing. But this sort of action will allow you to still power the golf ball, but will allow you to hit the ball much straighter. We now move to the straight hitter category, and I believe the straight hitter can benefit the most from using the X factor correctly. Now, generally, the straight hitter has some restriction in his swing, doesn't really get loaded and wound very powerfully in the backswing. So I'm going to discuss with you a few things that should help you increase your X and gain more power, more distance for your golf game. The first thing I want you to focus on is softening up and relaxing your shoulders. We need to complete that shoulder turn and make a complete shoulder turn, like a 90-degree shoulder turn. And we need some suppleness, some relaxation in your shoulders in order to do that. Now, one of the things I like people to focus on is this center button moving and loading into the right side. I think the short hitter tends to hang a little bit on the left side, so allow those shoulders and center to move back into the right side so that you can get totally behind the golf ball so that you have something to move into to give it a powerful blow. Let me do one more. Now for the advanced players out there, you're already doing most of the things that I've talked about in the X Factor. However, we can all improve at everything we do. And when I go out on the tour to watch the best players in the world, I often see these great players work without a club on their body motions. Two people come to mind. One is Fred Couples, and one is Nick Faldo. And I oftentimes see them doing things without a golf club. I see them rotating their body in this fashion. They may cross their arms on their chest or fold their arms, but they're working without a club and really without their arms. So they're just focusing on the body. And I'm sure they're working on their balance and trying to feel how they want their body to move in the golf swing. So let's go back out to the golf course and put the X Factor to use. I hope the things we talked about in this segment will generate more consistent
Now, the most difficult shots in golf are easy to make. With the Alien Ultimate Wedge, you'll be out in one swing, guaranteed.
I don't care how high a handicapper you are or how little you play. You'll get out of the sand on your very first swing or your money back.
Over 60% of all shots are taken within a short distance of the pin. The Alien Ultimate Wedge's triple radius design gets you out of the sand, out of the deep rough, even off hard pan. You don't need a new swing, a new stance, or a sports psychologist. All you need to get on the green is the Alien Ultimate Wedge. Call now for your free video and brochure and find out how you can get this revolutionary club in your bag.
If you live for golf and want to save strokes, pick up the phone right now and order your Alien Wedge. I guarantee you'll be glad you did.
The Alien Ultimate Wedge.
There's a long one.
One swing, and you're out of there.
Right on it. All right.
Guaranteed.
Summer may be over in your part of the country, but the heat will still be on in San Antonio, Texas this month. The men who do it best on the PGA Tour will gather at La Cantera Golf Club for a sizzling showdown in the Lone Star State. The Golf Channel brings you exclusive coverage of the PGA Tour's La Cantera Texas Open. October 19th through the 22nd.